They don't need your full name. They don't need your photo. They don't even need to meet you. All they need is a single strand of your hair, a drop of your blood, or a speck of your skin, and they can begin. What if I told you that something as simple as what you leave behind in a public place could be enough to invite dark forces into your life? Sounds like a horror story, but it's not. It's real and it's already happening. Your DNA is more than just a code that makes you who you are. It's your spiritual fingerprint. Something ancient cultures have known for centuries, and something modern science is only now beginning to confirm. Your DNA carries more than genetics. It holds memory, emotion, energy. And to those who know how to use it, it's a key. A key that opens a door between this world and something much darker. People are collecting DNA without you even realizing it. Some for science, some for control, and others for rituals. Dark rituals that don't need you present. They just need a piece of you. The ritual doesn't require your consent. It doesn't need a full moon. It doesn't even need candles anymore. Just a little bit of your essence, and the spell can begin. What's most disturbing? These aren't just theories. These are testimonies. Confessions from real witches who've revealed how it's done, step by step. No Hollywood drama, no ancient scrolls. Just modern-day spiritual warfare, using your biology as fuel. In this video, we're going to uncover 5 shocking ways people are using your DNA for dark rituals. Some of them you've never even thought about. Some of them are already happening around you, and by the end of this, you'll never look at something as harmless as a strand of hair the same way again. It usually starts small. You feel off, a little more tired than usual. Maybe you're moody for no reason. Things keep going wrong, just enough to notice, but never enough to explain. What if those strange setbacks weren't just coincidence? What if someone had a piece of you, literally? One of the oldest and most quietly practiced forms of dark magic involves hair. It might sound like something from a fairy tale, but the reality is far more disturbing. For centuries, witches and occult practitioners have believed that a single strand of someone's hair can give them power over that person's mind, emotions, and even their body. And today, that belief hasn't gone away. It's only evolved. A modern witch who chooses to remain anonymous shared a chilling insight. Hair works like a spiritual GPS. Once I have it, I can lock onto someone's emotional state. I can feed energy in, or I can take it out. It's like holding a string that's connected straight to their spirit. She explained that having a hair sample makes the spell more precise, more personal. It doesn't just aim in your direction, it hits you exactly where you're weakest. These practitioners don't even need to know you personally. Hair is easy to find and often left behind without a second thought. Think about it. Every time you get a haircut, your DNA is scattered across a salon floor. Every time you sleep in a hotel bed, your strands might be left on the pillowcase. At the gym, in public bathrooms, even on your own clothes, tiny pieces of you are left behind. And to someone with the knowledge, that's all they need. There's also a disturbing scientific angle to this. Hair can hold DNA for years. Unlike blood or saliva, it doesn't rot away quickly. It can sit in a drawer or a ritual jar for a very long time, still carrying your essence, still usable for manipulation. Witches know this. That's why hair is their tool of choice for long-term influence. Once the link is made, the effects can be drawn out slowly, almost invisibly. You may not feel anything dramatic at first. The effects are designed to blend in with life. You start feeling drained more often. Your motivation fades. Opportunities slip through your fingers. Relationships grow tense. Emotional roller coasters become more frequent. And the scariest part? You won't have any idea that what's happening isn't natural, that it's being done to you. But there are ways to protect yourself. Simple habits that can block these connections before they start. One of the oldest defenses is to burn your hair after brushing or cutting it. Fire breaks the spiritual tether. If you can't burn it, at least flush it or wrap it tightly before throwing it away. Be mindful of where your strands might end up. Clean your pillows. Sweep your floors. Don't let parts of you wander into the world unprotected. It might feel strange to think like this, but in a world where your DNA can be used without your knowledge, awareness is your first shield. Your hair isn't just something that grows from your head. It carries energy. And in the wrong hands, it can become a thread that binds you to a ritual you never agreed to. And if hair holds power, blood holds even more. You might think a drop of blood is nothing. A small cut while shaving, a scrape from the gym, a random nosebleed. But to someone who understands how energy flows through DNA, even that tiny drop becomes a doorway. A former occult insider who left the practice out of fear revealed something deeply unsettling. He spoke about what they called blood sigils, symbols drawn during rituals using blood they'd collected. Not stolen through violence, but gathered from places most people overlook. Public restroom trash cans, tissues with blood from a sneeze, discarded bandages, or dried droplets on the pavement. You wouldn't believe how easy it is, he said. People leave behind blood all the time. We just collect it, mark the symbols, and the energy begins to stir. Blood isn't just a physical fluid. It's considered the most spiritually concentrated material in the body. Unlike hair, which holds frequency and emotion, blood carries lineage. It carries memory. The DNA within a drop of blood doesn't just belong to you. It connects to those who came before you. That's why blood sigils are used to open spiritual gateways, not just to affect your energy, but to reach beyond, to your ancestors, your inherited patterns, even your spiritual guides or shadows. This is where it becomes truly disturbing. When a sigil is drawn using your blood, especially unknowingly, practitioners believe it becomes a coded invitation. They don't just reach out to your energy, they call to the spirits bound to your bloodline. In many rituals, it's not about harming you directly. It's about pulling energy from the collective force of your lineage. It might open you up to things you didn't even know existed, moods and emotions that aren't yours. Dreams that feel foreign, whispers in your mind that seem to come from nowhere. One testimony described it like this: when the blood activates the sigil, it's like knocking on a door that your ancestors have no choice but to answer. Even if you're not involved, they are. And once that gate opens, you start feeling the shift, heaviness, confusion, like your inner compass is broken. The idea that spiritual DNA is more powerful than blood type may sound strange, but in the world of ritual magic, it makes sense. Your blood contains a signature not just of who you are, but who you came from. Every triumph, curse, trauma, and gift passed down through your line echoes in that drop. And if someone uses it, they're not just connecting with you, they're reaching through you into something much older, much deeper. That's why small injuries matter. That's why every bit of blood you lose should be treated like something sacred. It doesn't take a sacrifice anymore. It takes a tissue, a razor nick, a drop on the floor you forgot to clean. So how do you stay safe? First, always treat even minor wounds with care. Clean them fully. Don't let dried blood linger on cloth, tissue, or surfaces. If you use a bandage, don't just toss it in the trash. Wrap it up tightly, burn it if you can, or at least make sure it can't be retrieved. Be especially careful in shared spaces like gyms, hotels, or public restrooms. These places are magnets for spiritual opportunists looking for unnoticed traces. We live in a time where our most private materials, hair, blood, skin, can be used without permission. It doesn't take a spell book or a curse shouted aloud. It takes a symbol, a drop, and someone who knows what they're doing. Your energy is real, your bloodline is powerful, and your awareness might be the only thing standing between you and an invisible thread that ties your spirit to someone else's ritual. But it doesn't stop with blood. In fact, one of the most unsettling rituals being practiced today uses something even more common: your saliva. Yes, even your spit can be used as a spiritual tool. It may sound strange, but this isn't new. Witches and occult practitioners have used jars for centuries to trap energy, cast spells, or bind spirits. They believed that if you could place part of a person, anything that held their essence, inside a sealed container, you could reach them, influence them, or even tear them apart from the inside out. Now fast forward to today, and those ancient jar rituals have taken on a new form. They're called whisper jars, and all it takes to make one is a piece of you, left behind on a coffee cup, a straw, a fork at a diner, or even a licked envelope. These items carry your saliva, which holds not just your DNA, but your energetic blueprint. In spiritual terms, saliva is seen as a living link between your voice, your thoughts, and your subconscious self. So when it's captured and sealed with intention, that link becomes a channel. One modern witch described her use of whisper jars in chilling detail. "It's like bottling the voice inside someone's head," she said. "Once I have their saliva, I can begin. I write their name, speak to the jar daily, and feed it my intention. Over time, I've seen people unravel. They start arguing with themselves, acting like two different people. It's like their personality starts splitting at the seams. This kind of spiritual manipulation doesn't always cause immediate chaos. Sometimes it starts with subtle signs, dreams that feel too real, hearing whispers in your sleep, especially someone calling your name when no one's around. You might catch yourself forgetting things more often, losing time, or feeling like you're not entirely alone in your own thoughts. In more severe cases, people have reported sudden personality shifts, unexplained mood swings, and emotional numbness that won't go away. The idea is not to possess you in the traditional sense, but to pull forward the hidden parts of your psyche, the shadows you try to suppress. These jars are designed to create internal conflict, to bring out your darker self, and weaken your sense of control. Some witches believe that by isolating your shadow through the energy in your saliva, They can break your spirit down and make you more open to external influence. And what makes this so dangerous is how easily your saliva can be collected. Think about it. How often do you leave behind cups at restaurants, straws in drinks, or plastic spoons after grabbing ice cream? These are the exact items people don't think twice about discarding. But to someone who knows what to look for, each one is a key, not to your body, but to your mind. That's why it's crucial to start paying attention. Avoid reusing cups in public or leaving behind personal items that have touched your mouth. If you do use them, wipe the rim before discarding, or better, yet keep those items with you until you can dispose of them safely. This isn't paranoia, it's protection. In a world where rituals have evolved beyond circles of candles and dark robes, sometimes the most dangerous spell doesn't need you to believe in it. It only needs you to be careless. Because when your own voice starts turning against you and your thoughts don't feel like yours anymore, it may already be too late. The jar has been sealed. The whispers have begun. But it doesn't end with whispers in jars or stolen saliva. There's something even more disturbing, something that targets not just your mind, but your very image in the world. Skin cells. Tiny, invisible flakes of skin that fall off your body every single day. They gather on your chair at work, on your bed sheets, on the inside of your hoodie. To most people, this is just normal. But to someone who knows what to do with it, that discarded skin becomes a doorway. You see, every little piece of skin carries your full genetic blueprint, just like blood or hair. And some dark rituals use this to create what occultists call a doppelganger, or a spiritual clone. Not a physical copy, but an energy-based twin. One that doesn't just look like you in a spiritual sense. It acts like you, thinks like you, and more dangerously, begins to absorb the worst version of who you are, all created using your skin. One practitioner who stepped away from the dark arts shared how this ritual works. When I had someone's skin flakes, she said, I could pull their echo into the ritual circle. Not their soul, but something close. A shadow copy. Then over days or weeks, that copy would start to affect the original person. It's like turning their worst traits into habits, self-sabotage, addiction, sudden cruelty. Sometimes even people close to them would say, "You're not acting like yourself." But it wasn't just a mood swing, it was the twin. This isn't just about emotional shifts. People who've been targeted often report strange moments they can't explain, being accused of doing something they never did, or someone swearing they saw them in a place they've never been. In extreme cases, they even feel like they're watching themselves from the outside, disconnected from their own actions. It's not always violent or terrifying at first. It starts as confusion, as if your reflection is 1 second behind your thoughts. But over time, the cracks begin to show. The goal of this ritual isn't always to destroy, it's to unravel, to let your shadow self take the wheel while your real self fades into confusion. These doppelgangers are rarely evil in the horror movie sense. They're more like distorted mirrors, pulling your guilt, fear, and suppressed emotions to the surface, and feeding on them until you don't know who you are anymore. And what makes this so terrifying is how easy it is to perform in secret. You don't need to hand someone your skin for it to happen. Just sitting on a public chair, lying on a friend's couch, or even trying on clothes in a store can leave behind enough for someone who knows the craft to start the process. And once it begins, it doesn't need your permission. Your energy double has already been formed. So what can you do? First, cleanse your space regularly, especially places where you sit or sleep. Use ultraviolet light if you can, not just for germs, but to track what you leave behind. Spiritually, salt-based baths are one of the oldest and most trusted ways to break energy ties. Salt grounds your energy and pushes out what doesn't belong. You can also do regular smoke cleansing with herbs like sage or rosemary, especially after feeling mentally drained or emotionally unstable for no clear reason. More than anything, stay aware. If you start to feel unlike yourself, or if others begin to treat you like you've done things you don't remember, don't just write it off as stress. It might be your spirit twin stepping into your path. And in a world where your DNA is just another tool in someone else's ritual, sometimes the fight for your identity starts with the skin you've already shed. The danger of these dark rituals doesn't stop at your own life. It can reach far beyond, stretching across generations like invisible chains. This final ritual takes things to a level that feels almost impossible to fight, using your ancestors' DNA to bind your future. It's called the Grave-Bound Contract, and it's one of the oldest and most powerful forms of spiritual control known in occult circles. The idea is that your DNA carries more than just your personal information. It holds the stories, debts, and energy of your entire bloodline. And some modern witches have found ways to tap into that, using your family history against you. With the rise of ancestry DNA testing services, many people have willingly shared their genetic information to learn about their roots. But what few realize is that this data can be used for much darker purposes. Practitioners now trace bloodlines through these databases, identifying living descendants and reaching out to the spiritual energy tied to ancient pacts made long ago. These pacts, often forgotten or hidden, can be reactivated by those who know the ritual. It's like signing a contract with the past that no one told you about, one that can affect your entire life and the lives of those who come after you. One insider who once practiced these rituals revealed something chilling. We don't just use your DNA for magic. We collect old spiritual debts your ancestors made, debts you didn't even know existed. The contracts are real, and they can bind your soul until they are paid off. This means curses that feel like bad luck, illnesses that seem to run through, families or cycles of hardship that repeat without clear reason, can actually be linked to these grave-bound contracts. The effects can show up as financial ruin, unexplained health problems, or emotional trauma that seems to pass from one generation to the next. The scary part is that many people have no idea they're even caught in this web. They see the results in their daily struggles but don't connect it to anything spiritual or genetic. Yet, in the eyes of these occult practitioners, your DNA is a chain linking you to the past, and they use it to pull you back into old bargains and curses. But there are ways to fight back. One important step is to be cautious about where your DNA data ends up. If you've used ancestry services, it's wise to request deletion of your genetic information and opt out of any sharing options. This helps cut off access to those who might try to use it for dark rituals. Beyond the digital world, healing rituals aimed at your ancestors can help break these chains. Setting up an ancestral altar, offering prayers or offerings, and performing cleansing ceremonies to honor and release old energies can bring peace not just to you, but to your entire bloodline. These rituals remind us that the power of DNA goes beyond biology. It is a link between the past, present, and future. When someone uses it for dark purposes, they are trying to rewrite your story without your consent, using your own heritage as a weapon. Understanding this is the first step to taking your power back and protecting not just yourself, but generations to come. As shocking as all these rituals sound, there's an even darker truth emerging beneath the surface. One that blends the ancient with the modern in ways most people never imagined. Today, the world of witchcraft and the occult is no longer limited to candles, herbs, or chants alone. Modern witches, occultists, and black magicians have started mixing technology with their rituals, creating what some call spiritual hacking. Just like hackers break into computers, these practitioners use digital tools to hack into your spiritual and genetic makeup. This idea of genetic hacking means your DNA, which carries your deepest spiritual essence, can be targeted not only by physical objects like hair. There are online groups now, where members share tips and secrets on how to use stolen DNA data found on the internet to perform dark rituals on unsuspecting victims. One witch who used to be part of these circles admitted how easily they could access genetic information and combine it with ancient spells to increase the power of their curses. They don't just rely on old magic anymore. They use code and technology alongside traditional ritual tools. This new blend of the digital and the spiritual has created a frightening form of magic. Ritual tools today include both candles and computer code. What once required physical contact can now be done remotely, through data and digital traces left behind online. It's a hidden form of attack that most people aren't even aware of, but it's growing fast. Understanding this is crucial, because it changes everything about how we think of protection and privacy, not just for our bodies and minds, but for our very souls. The battle isn't just in the physical or spiritual world anymore. It's happening across networks and databases, where your DNA becomes the ultimate target. All these rituals show us one clear truth. Your DNA is far more than just a biological code. It's a powerful spiritual blueprint that connects your mind, body, and soul. From hair-binding curses to blood sigils, whisper jars, spirit clones, and even grave-bound contracts, these dark practices prove that pieces of your body and genetic information can be used against you in ways most people never imagined. This isn't just about physical health or genetics. It's about your very energy and identity being vulnerable to forces you can't see. Knowing this, it becomes important to take real steps to protect yourself. Be mindful of what you leave behind, whether it's strands of hair, saliva on a cup, or tiny cuts that might go unnoticed. Dispose of personal items with care, burning or cleansing them if possible, to stop them from becoming tools in someone's ritual. Practice spiritual hygiene regularly. Simple things like salt baths, cleansing your space, or using protective prayers can make a big difference in breaking harmful ties and keeping your energy clear. This knowledge is powerful, and it's something you should share with others. The more people understand the true value of their DNA beyond science, the harder it becomes for dark forces to exploit it. Ignoring this part of yourself only opens the door wider. If you don't protect your DNA, someone else will use it, and never with your best interests in mind. If this sounds like the kind of hidden truth you want to explore more, be sure to watch our next video. Hidden sigils in plain sight, everyday symbols that curse you without knowing. There, we'll uncover the secret symbols all around us that carry energy. Sometimes good, sometimes dangerous. Stay aware, stay protected, and remember, your DNA is your most precious spiritual treasure.